fluent and chill NBA edition. This week, we're going to be talking some Ben Simmons, some Kyrie Irving, the kickoff to the NBA season. So Lakers, Warriors, Nets, and Bucks. And I'm here as always, because who's better to talk hoops with than Chilltown Hoops? How you doing, man?
What's up, brother? What's going on?
Man, I was so excited for the season to start. And I want to talk about the first two games because I saw some things that we need to talk about. Unfortunately, we got to start on this stuff again. And I hate this stuff. I wish we could just talk basketball. Like, I really wish we could just talk basketball.
Of course.
Ben Simmons. Now, let me not put all the blame on him. Okay, because I said this to you last year. The Clippers, I was thinking Doc Rivers and the Clippers. The Sixers, they started this mess, right? They started this mess because when he, had a terrible playoff performance or a couple, right? He's not the guy. Can he lead a team? Doc Rivers questions him. Joel Embiid questions him. The offseason, they're talking trades. They're public about who they want to trade him to. They're putting out the offers. They're asking for so much for him in return.
4 ones.
4 ones and 2 of your starters. Like, it's just excessive, right? I don't think they ever planned on trading him, let's be honest.
Right.
And they wanted to keep his value. Well, then he says, I'm not playing. I'm not going back. There's a whole issue. Doc Rivers, there's an article that says, Doc Rivers, like, it's in his contract. He needs to come and play. Like, they're just butting heads. Somehow they figure out, hey, he's going to come back and he's going to come in to training camp and he's going to play. First practice that he's there, he gets sent home. Second practice. Joel Embiid, I'm not a babysitter. I'm not here to work. This isn't going to work. Like, it's not going to work. Are we surprised? I guess let's start there. Are you surprised that it's not going to work after everything that happened in the offseason?
Well, I didn't think that it would get to this level. I'm the voice of reason, and this was a situation that got ugly early, where they could have fixed this before the summer. They could have absolutely fixed this. Instead of, Ben was the reason why. Can we win it without Ben? Is Ben your point guard? Well, I don't know. Well, that just sounds really bad, because that's the same thing as, you've been this girl for 5 years and she's asked, are you going to marry me? Well, I don't know if I'm going to marry. Well, immediately when she hears that, she's like, well, what am I doing hanging around you for then, if that's what it's going to be? So instead of them saying that this was us, this wasn't just Ben, instead, the Philadelphia fans piled on him. The media piled on him. And the 76ers didn't do anything about it. So essentially what they did, Tom, was he got jumped and they watched him. And they didn't do anything about it. And that was a recipe for disaster. So we move forward where Ben wants out and 76ers are going, okay, we'll accommodate you. Well, we'll attempt to accommodate you. When in all actuality, they had no intentions of accommodating him. They absolutely felt like, we're going to get him back in here and we're going to work this thing out. Not realizing how cut Ben was, how hurt he was behind this whole thing. And they didn't handle it the correct way. So when he actually shows up, they think that he's going to show up and we're going to be like, okay, let's discuss this. No, I think we're already past that. And now I think Joel Embiid, who's speaking, I don't think he's just speaking for himself. I think he's speaking for the rest of those guys in that locker room, because I think that they feel the same way. They just can't say it, but him being leader of that unit, he can say it. And they're speaking for him when he's saying, we over this guy and we moving forward.
And let's be clear. The Sixers do have title aspirations. Joel Embiid is a legit MVP candidate. They don't need this. They need people on board, all rowing in the same direction if they're going to have any chance of upseeding the Nets or the Bucks in the East, right?
Tony, they finished number 1 in the East last year. Finished number 1 in the East last year, and at minimum, we had them in the Eastern Conference Championship. At minimum. I mean, they had no business losing to Atlanta. We all know that. But coming back this season, they have the absolute same aspirations. They're not coming in and going, well, we're going to try to be better this year. No.
Well, from number 1 seed, what better can you get? It's
right.
The playoffs, right? That matter right now for them.
Absolutely. That's who this unit is. And we're looking at what they're doing. And we already understand that we're already going to have nonsense or issues during the season. We can't start the season like this because this is going to compound the other stuff.
Right.
So if we could just handle this, but it's too late now because it's not something that's.
I want to read you something. Now I understand that hindsight is 2020. I do. Mm-hmm. I get it. However, this is a scouting report from March of 2016. Simmons' lack of competitiveness in crucial games has raised questions about his character. Those who know him best say he needs things to revolve around him on and off the court. And that has often been his close-minded to coaching and instruction. That's a scouting report from 2016 on Ben Simmons. So it has to revolve around him on and off the court. He doesn't show up at crucial games. And he's not receptive. He's closed-minded to coaching and instruction. Are we surprised now?
No, we're not.
They knew it then. They knew it then. Like, I hate to say it. Again, it's easy to look back and say, because people say all kinds of things in scouting reports. But, man, when you see what's going on and how you read that, maybe we're not surprised. So from one, do we talk about Kyrie again? Do you think he plays? I guess let me just ask the question because I'll tell you. I think it was Jay Williams came out and said something that I did not know. Bradley Beal, who is unvaccinated, went to Madison Square Garden and played. Mm-hmm. So if you don't live in New York, in the state of New York, you can go in and play. But if you live in the state of New York, you can't play.
Correct.
Make it make sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't. The consistency just is not there where I can live outside. I can live right on the other side of the water and I can play or I can work there. But if I don't, and I live in this, there's a city mandate if I live there. So, I mean, the consistency isn't there and it just doesn't make much sense. And I look at that Brooklyn unit, to be quite honest with you, I can appreciate that you can't replace 26 a game, right? And you can't replace a dynamic personality like Kyrie Irving, but I can't say with 100% certainty long term they wouldn't be better off. I can't say that, Tom, because I'm looking at that unit and James Harden's going to get better. I think that KD is going to be who KD is. I think Claxton is going to get better. I think that unit is going to get better, and throughout the course of the season, they're going to mesh. Now, I can understand that they need Irv. It looks like it on the surface, but how much do they actually need him? And do we need the extra stuff that comes with him? Because we're trying to win it, Tone. We're not just a team that's going to be good. We're trying to win the whole thing. And
you can't have distractions. You can't have distractions when you're doing that. Yeah.
We're gonna have that throughout the season anyway. So what we can't have extra stuff. So I can't say that they wouldn't be better off right now. Would that change in a month? But as of right now, Kyrie, you just read me what Ben Simmons' history was. This was 5 years ago. Kyrie Irving, what have you seen from him? When he left Cleveland, James was able to hold that thing together. When he left Boston, they got back to the Eastern Conference Championship. Here he is in Brooklyn, and we have the same thing going on again. So I can't say with 100% certainty that they wouldn't be better off without it.
I would suggest to you that if it wasn't for the way that Kyrie, hold on. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Thought I was going to sneeze. All right. If it wasn't for the way that Kyrie and KD kind of teamed up and came to Brooklyn together, he'd already be gone if anyone would have him. I think they would have traded him. If it was the other way around, if Harden and KD had said in the offseason, we're going to the Nets, and then they traded for Kyrie, and then this happened, they'd be like, forget it. He's kind of the third guy. Let's get. I think the only reason they're even trying is because he and KD kind of came over together as a package deal, and I think you might be right. Listen, Kyrie is talented. He is one of the most talented point guards I've ever seen in terms of his skill set. That doesn't always equate to a good teammate, to a championship caliber. Listen, I get it. He won a chip, but with LeBron, mind you. So it's just, is he the guy that you need? Is he, and maybe you're right. Maybe it's not. Maybe they get other people to pick up. Listen, you're not going to get 21 and 7 from 7 3-point shooting from Patty Mills every night.
No, you're not.
And even when you do, and even when you did, you lost to a really good Bucks team by 23.
Yeah.
the Bucks look we talked about it, right? And until someone shows me different, the Bucks are the favorite in the East.
The road to the NBA championship goes through Milwaukee. You got to come see us. It's that simple.
That even though it's game one, still statement game, right? That's still a statement game.
I didn't at any point, and I knew that Brooklyn was going to get back into the game, Tone. I didn't think that they were just going to smoke them. I did think that but at no point watching that game did I think that Milwaukee was not in control of that game.
Yeah.
At any point, I always felt like they were in control of that game.
Do you think they go on a do you think they pace themselves and focus on the playoffs, or do you think the Bucks are going number one seed trying to win, 65 plus games?
I think that they absolutely think that simply because they want to make a statement. And what was the rap on them coming into this season, Tone? The reason why they won the NBA championship is because
the Nets were injured and they got a lucky draw and everything kind of went their way.
Okay, so we're gonna figure that out right now, right. And we're gonna make a statement against the team who we went 7 games with. And I want to give you this is what the Milwaukee Bucks are. We want to give you a prelude of what the season is going to be like. What you saw this night, what you saw last night. Prepare yourself for what it's going to be for the rest of the season. Now, are we going to be blowing up the better teams out? No, but I think that we will handle our business, and that's what it looked like last night.
Hey, listen, to get to it's I know that I'm oversimplifying it here, but to get to 60 wins, you got to win 40 games against some weak competition and 20 games against some tough competition.
That's it.
It's not, I know I'm oversimplifying it, but
it's really not that ridiculous.
They should beat all those weak teams. They're so talented, and so they should. So that being said, there was another game last night, and I got to tell you, I may be in the minority when I say I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that the Lakers lost. I'm not surprised that they looked the way that they looked. I'm not blaming it on the preseason, but it's been kind of, listen, the two teams that have, all the superstars on them, the Nets and the Lakers, they still got to come together. They still need to gel. And so I'm more impressed with some of the things that I saw from the Warriors than I'm worried about the things from the Lakers. So let's start there. Tell me what you saw with the Warriors team.
Well, I saw a unit of cohesion. That's what I saw. I saw a group of guys who bared down and basically got it done as a unit. Everybody talks, even Steph was talking about how he didn't play very well yesterday. I thought Steph was really good. Outside the fact that he didn't shoot the ball great, I thought he did a number of different things. He was on the backboard. He was defending better. He was distributing. He was involved, not just in the offense, but on the defensive end. I can't say enough about Draymond Green in terms of his ability as their anchor, right? I think that Jordan Poole is going to be big for them.
He impressed me.
He's just going to be really big for them with Clay being out of the lineup. And once Clay gets back into the lineup, that's going to be big, man. So, and I got to make sure, Tone, I get this guy's name right. This, but name, I'm going to get it right at some point, but
Nemaha Basilia,
that's him.
Basilia.
That's his name. Basilia. Yes. You're talking about a unit, Tone, and they gave up. You're talking about a Golden State Warriors unit. They got 55 points from their bench. That was huge, man. That was huge from them. And if that's any indication of what they're going to be a terror in the Western Conference. Absolutely.
Yeah, your guy there, who I'm not going to try to say his name again, right? 15 and 11.
15 and 11, coming off the bench. Yep.
And I'll tell you this. If I said to you, the Warriors played the Lakers, I didn't tell you anything else, and Steph went 2 of 8 from 3, would you say that was in a win or in a loss?
I would have absolutely said that it was a loss.
It was a loss. So I know he's looked at for shooting, and so he shot poorly and said, "Hey, I had a bad game." No, he had a bad shooting game. How often do we see Steph put up 20, 10, and 10?
I can't remember it. I cannot remember him putting up 20, 10, and 10. And when I looked at that unit, the second half, because I had the Lakers handling them, but I think that the problem that the Lakers have is they got an identity crisis right now, Tone. And the identity, Carmelo knows who he is as a second unit guy. I'm buckets. James knows who he is. Anthony Davis knows who he is. We got to figure out who DeAndre Jordan is in the rotation. We got to figure out who Bazemore is in the rotation. And most importantly, Russ played 35 minutes last night, Tone. And in the 35 minutes, he just looked out of sync. And the reason why he looked out of sync was because he didn't have the basketball that much. And he's going to have to learn to play within that system because that's who James is. And I'm going to say something that may sound ridiculous, but is it realistic to think that at some point, if this is any indication of who Russ is with this Laker team, that he may be traded at some point because this just isn't going to work?
Okay. It's not, it sounds ridiculous today. However, what I don't understand is you don't bring in Russ not to handle the ball. You bring in Russ to take that responsibility away from James so that James can rest and do other things. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they don't do that, honestly, that's bad coaching. That's bad coaching because if Russ doesn't have the ball, he's not. Listen, can James play off the ball? Yep. Can AD play off the ball? Yep. Every other player on that team can play without the ball. There's only one player on the Lakers roster who has to have the ball in his hands, and that's Russ. So then you have to let him play that way because if you don't, that he will not be successful. And so, listen, the other part is you got your 38 and 34, I think, right? Or 33 and 34 from AD and LeBron. There wasn't another double-digit scorer on the team.
No, there was not.
In today's NBA, you're not winning. You're not winning when you have two players. I don't care unless they go both for 50. You're probably not winning a game with only two guys scoring in double digits.
Well, what's going to happen with that unit is that we need those other guys, not just to score, but to be productive. We need Bazemore to be productive. We need Anthony to be productive. We need Russ to be. I don't need 20 and 10 from Russ. No, I don't need that. But we do need him to be productive. I can't have Russ going 4 for 13 for 8 points. That's not going to get it done. And I don't think that this is an indication of who Russ is. But when I saw what I saw with Anthony Davis, I still believe, and I said this to you, Tone, over the summer. I said this to you a month ago. I think that team is going to rest on what Anthony Davis does. If he's healthy, you see what he's doing. I still think that he's a top 5 player when he's healthy. And as long as he's doing what he's doing, I think this Laker team is going to be at the top of the Western Conference. They just got to figure out this Russ thing. They have to.
When I say this, most people misunderstand it. Anthony Davis is the most important player on the Lakers. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he's the best player on the Lakers. Mm-hmm. I'm saying he's the most important player on the Lakers. He, like you just said, they're going to go how he goes, right? If he's not there, I'm worried about them. He needs to play well. Russ's stat line of, what was it, 8, 5, and 4, or 8, 4, 5, whatever. That should be a half.
Right.
Like that, he should be putting up like 16, 8, and 10. Like that's what they need from him. Mm-hmm. Moving forward. Where are they going to get scoring from though off the bench? Carmelo needs to do more. Is it Bradley? Bradley, they just signed him. Monk?
No.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Well, the buckets are going to come, Tone, and they're going to come from Nunn. They're going to come from Anthony. They're going to come from Bazemore. Those buckets are going to come because, again, what we're not going to do is we're not going to jump out the window and go, this team. We're not going to do that. But when you just back to your point about being the most important, who was the best player on the Celtics in the 80s?
Larry Bird.
Do they do what they're doing without McHale?
No.
Absolutely not. Who was the best player on the Lakers?
When? There's so many. Right now?
In the 80s. Who was the best player?
Magic.
Does Magic do what he do if he ain't got James Worthy?
Depends who replaces him. But no, obviously, no.
We need James Worthy. No. Yes. We absolutely. Fast forward to 2021. Who is the best player on the Los Angeles Lakers?
James.
If Anthony Davis is not available, we're not winning.
Right. Fair enough. No, that's a good point. So what are you looking forward to now moving forward? The season has started. We've seen kind of the marquee. We got the marquee matchups. Let's start with these teams. So I think the Lakers will be fine. And they're going to be in contention. So let's start with the Warriors. Are the Warriors, do they look like a team that could be a playoff team? Obviously, depending on if and when Clay comes back.
I got the Warriors I had them start the season. I had them as the 4th best team in the Western Conference. And I don't think that that's ridiculous looking at what they have and their second unit and what Steph brings and what Poole looks like he will bring, what Draymond brings in terms of leadership. Once they get Wiseman back, and you already know how I feel about Andrew Wiggins. A lot of people look funny at Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins will give you what he gives you, and you can't. I value that more than a lot of other people. So I think this Warrior team is a top 5 team in the West. I'm not going overboard to go, yo, they're going to win the NBA championship. I think that they're a top 5 team in the West, and I think that they're going to get a favorable matchup early, and I think that they can make some noise in the playoffs. I'll tell you who I am looking forward to. Tone, I'm looking forward to watching this Milwaukee Bucks team dominate because I think that they will do that. I absolutely think that they will do that. I'm not thinking about teams like the Clippers because I think the Clippers are a play-in team. I think that Dallas is right on the outside of the top 5 because I still got to see how Luka is gonna mesh with Porzingis and how he's going to get more of these guys involved and play off the basketball. I need to see a little bit more of that. And I'm also really looking forward to this DeAndre Ayton situation because Phoenix paid everybody except him. He's the only guy that they didn't pay.
So I want that. That's going to be the last thing we talk. So we're going to get to Ayton here in a second because I just want to say, because you mentioned the Bucks, their next game is Thursday against the Heat. So we're going to see real quick, right? What the Heat are like and can the Bucks that for an NBA champ to get the Nets and the Heat in their first 2 games
to start the season.
Not doing them any favors.
No, they are not. No, they are not. They are absolutely putting them to the test, and they putting them to the test early, which is why I'm excited about this, Tone, because I'm looking forward to how they handle Brooklyn. And if they can handle Miami, I think that they're going to put the message out to the rest of the NBA that what you saw last year
wasn't a fluke.
It was not a fluke. We serious.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to come through Milwaukee if you're trying to win the NBA championship. You're going to have to come see us.
I like it. So let's get to Ayton. Why aren't they paying him?
For lack of a better term.
Is there a better young center that they can have financial, when I say control over? What?
This is a classic example of botching it. You paid everybody else. You paid Chris Paul, which you had to pay Chris Paul. I can't fight that. You had to pay Sham. You had to pay your other guys. But with all of that being said, you have to pay Ayton. And you have to pay him first. And the reason why you have to pay him first is because he's not a piece. He's a cornerstone of what you guys are doing. Y'all ain't getting to the finals without him. Y'all not. I don't care how good you are or how good Chris Paul is or how good Book is. You guys are not going deep into the playoffs without him. He is not a piece to what you guys are doing. He is a cornerstone to your franchise. He's who you are building it around. So you have to take care of him. Now, if you feel like the money isn't there, or they're going to let him go and test free agency as a restricted free agent, and then just match any deal that any team can offer him, which is corny, Tone, by the way, because Phoenix knows that there's no team that can pay more than Phoenix. So whatever team offers him whatever contract, Phoenix can just match it, and it's going to be less than whatever it is that he would get with Phoenix. I think that's corny, and the reason why I think that's corny is because Phoenix it's typical because they shortchanging him. You're absolutely shortchanging him, and then this could be a problem going into their season. This could be a huge problem going into their season. Hey, this man.
Have they, if we've not learned anything, right? It's you don't want an unhappy star on your team because, listen, one, they typically don't play as well. And 2, what do they typically do? They force their way out or they leave in free agency. And for the long-term success, because what I'm about to say, people are going to fight me on, but hear me out. For the long-term success of the Suns, their priorities are Booker, Ayton, and then Paul.
Yes.
Right? For the long-term success. So you got Booker, you got Paul. What are you doing? Right? Now, I get it with Paul, because if they didn't offer Paul a longer-term contract with some money, he easily can opt in. I think he was owed like 40 or 41 million for this season. So, okay, it made sense them to say, hey, we'll give you whatever they gave him, 80 over 3 years or 4 years, whatever. Let's spread that out a little bit. Okay, that made sense. Ayton, if you don't pay him, what are the Phoenix Suns? What are the Phoenix Suns to just have Paul and Booker?
I think they are middle. I think they are middle of the road.
Are they that good? Are they middle of the road?
When I say middle of the road, I don't mean middle of the road playoff team. I think they're a middle of the road team. I think they're on the outside looking in. I don't think that
They're probably in the play-in, right?
That's where I was going with this. I think that they're on the outside looking in. I think they're around 9, 10. With Ayton, I think they're a top 5 team in the West.
Exactly. So what's important? What's important? Is it winning? Like what? I guess each team has to make that decision. Is it because some it's just, hey, it's a business and it's about the dollars and the cents. Others, it's I don't care. I just want to win. And for the most, there's somewhere in between, right? It's we want to win, but we need to watch our finances too.
Well, the business aspect of it makes it does matter, Tone.
Yeah,
we can't take that out. That absolutely matters. But with that being said, Tone, we can't pay Bridges and we can't pay Sham and we can't pay Chris Paul without paying Ayton. We can't do that. If we're going to talk business, we got to pay him first. Because again, we're talking about he's 23 years old. We may have this guy for another 10, 12 years.
I call it the Jordan effect.
Mm-hmm.
So after him, players realized, hey, I need to get paid. I need to make my money.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe it was the last year of the second three-peat where he got paid more than the rest of the team combined.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen anymore. And if you expect to be a good team, give me one good team in the NBA that doesn't have a high payroll. Give me one good team that isn't at least pushing up on that luxury tax. It doesn't exist. So, we don't have that.
It's
come out that he's upset. Sorry to go back. It's come out that Ayton's upset.
Of course.
That's not negotiating in good faith when your player's upset.
As he should be, Tone. I mean, we're talking about a league where this isn't the NFL. You can't win on the cheap in the NBA.
Right.
You're not. This is not baseball. This is not football. If you're going to win in the NBA, you got to pay these guys. So
there you go. All right. So that's it for this week of Fluent and Chill. The next episode is going to be the NFL edition, which will come out on Friday. But until next week,
take it light, but take it.